from John chapter 12. "6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, the home of Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. There they gave a dinner for him. Martha served, and Lazarus was one of those reclining with him. Mary took a pound of costly perfume made of pure nard, anointed Jesus' feet, and wiped them with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, the one who was about to betray him, said, 'Why was this perfume not sold for 300 denarii and the money given to the poor?' He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. He kept the common purse and used to steal what was put into it." Jesus said, "Leave her alone. She bought it so that she might keep it for the day of my burial. You always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me."
The word worship, that can be real churchy. Has so many of these words taken on flesh? Like, what is worship?
You know, worship is not. It's not a word I'm comfortable with.
Perfect.
Because I feel I have this kind of knee-jerk reaction to, you know, worship should, you know, kind of to me often go hand in hand, and you know, the act of worship for me is the act of how one lives one's life. And the notion that we have a time and place, and I'm all for liturgy, I think that's very beautiful and whatnot, or can be, but the notion that we have a place and a time of worship has always struck me as odd, and that our lives are basically worship, and how we live them is worship. And, you know, to have somebody telling me how to worship is even more screwed up. I mean, how do you, I mean, when's the last time, I can't even remember the last time I was in a place of worship where I felt like I was worshiping, you know? And I think that's, you know, folks whose business that is, need to figure that out, that it's just not, yeah, right. So, worship, we worship with our lives, and I think only we know how to do that well. I can't, I don't worship well in places of worship. Yeah, places of worship, right.
What's the liturgy of the farmer?
Oh gosh. If you think about any liturgical expression, there's a rhythm and a sort of sanctity and a reverence to it. And I think the liturgy of the farmer is in some sense the rhythm and the understanding that the farmer expresses, and knowing that what they're doing may work, might not work, but we're doing it anyway. I'm going to get up, I'm going to do this. It might end well, it might not end well. And that's how we're going to live. And so, in a sense, acknowledging that and expressing yourself through those daily activities of whatever it is you have to be doing, and knowing full well that there's a good chance it's not going to work, is a kind of liturgy, which is sort of odd. Because I don't know if liturgy came about because as a way of really wanting something to work, or as an expression of, well, maybe we can pretty this up, knowing full well that it might not work. I don't know, but I think that it is important to a sort of expression of sanctity and rhythm is, if you can do that with your life, then that's it. But it's not quite as bad as worship to me, because I don't know, I like the notion of liturgy better than worship.
When I wrote about the dangerous act of worship, I was writing about the fact that what makes worship dangerous is worship that takes God seriously and therefore puts me and my world in some other location than in the center of the stage. And what makes faithful worship so transformative is that it's dangerous to selfishness, it's dangerous to self-interest, it's dangerous to the idolatries of self, it's dangerous to the small worldness of my own pathetic interests. Or best interests. It just gives me an entirely different life. So it's dangerous to anything like that. It's dangerous to a feeling that the things that matter most are the things that Mark Labberton thinks matter most, as opposed to the things that God says matter most. And that's a very significant change. So I think it's dangerous because to genuinely encounter God is going to be disruptive, and it's going to mean having to live in a new way and with a new agenda and with a different vision and all those kinds of themes. So I hope that what makes worship dangerous is that. And if that's true, then it means that the church really does become light and salt in the world that issues in the demonstration of that, living differently, loving differently, caring differently, entering into other people's lives and pain and need differently, and sharing our own as well.